so yeah, let's move on to the review of the Gate. I'm pretty sure you already know about this. A lot of reviewers have already reviewed them, of course, and I think sometimes it's better to review things late just so that you don't get in the hype thing. I mean, sometimes bandwagon hypes can, I don't know, for some reason maybe they may make the impressions a little bit better, or maybe I'm wrong, because I don't know, for me, like if I listen to an IM first, or example, if I'm one of the people who listen to it first, it's a little bit unlikely for me to say bad things about the product. It's mostly like the good things, and kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's just sometimes skip the bad points of a certain set. But yeah, here we have the Tangzu Gate. The design is, yeah, pretty simple. It's made of plastic with transparent, you know, shells. They're nice, fit is fine. I've never heard the Hola, and a lot of people said that, I don't know, like this is a better Hola or something. But yeah, let's move on to the objectives. And pull the graph here, it's there. As you can see, it's almost neutral actually in signature. There's a little bit of energy there around 4K, but it's nothing really for me. It's a good gain. Base shelf is very close to my target. So this is my definition of neutral. There's very good sub bass extension, not much, but just enough for my preference. And overall, it's just neutral to leaning to kind of like balance it, I'd say. The bass is there. It's just enough for me. The treble, although you can see that it's lacking, but I didn't feel the lack of treble in any way. They're just fine. Maybe a little bit of refinement would be good, but hey, this is a 1DD and this is for $20. Thank you anyway, Truthears, for sending this a review. And so let's just move on to my scoring here, and let's talk about the overall tonality. And the tonality of this is just very clean, slightly balanced set, nothing to complain, just a really solid tuning for this price. And I'm thinking of other IMs that has this, and probably the first one would be the Oner. You'd know how close they are. See the graph here? It's very close there. And probably the only difference would be on the bass in the lower frequency. So Oner is kind of like warmer in comparison, with probably fuller bass. The vocals are nice, but they're not as clean as the Holas. No, not the Holas, the Gate. Yeah, that's what I think. Probably the Oner, and I rank Oner S. And there's a new Oner, I think the Studio. I'm not sure how it graphs, but it might graph very close to this. I think this is like the limit of the bass shelf on this driver, because anything lower can make the mids probably a bit thin and shrill. So I think they did a very good implementation of this driver here, which is really good actually for me, because you know, like when I pull up other graphs, let's say the DZ4, which is my S ranker, look at that. It's very close as well. Probably the difference, as I mentioned, is that a little bit of energy around 4K, but other than that, it's very close. It's also very close to, do you know, Titan S there? And probably the only difference is maybe the treble and a little bit of bass. So this is doing something really good in this price range, you know. It's very solid, and I really like it. And I don't know, if they reshelled this in maybe metal shells or something, it may change the timbre a little bit, but I'm not sure about that. So for the tuning, I'm giving it a 3. Okay, solid 3 for the tuning. For the bass, maybe it might be lacking for some, but I really think the sub bass extension is really great for its curve. It doesn't really smear the mid-range. As I mentioned, it's very clean, and yeah, I like the bass on these. Like, there are some instances where, what song was that? Say for example, Just a Face by Incubus. Man, like the bass guitars in that, it has a very good sub bass extension that is not overdone, okay, for my preference. And it's fast. It's, you know, it's not as fast as planars, but just enough for me to enjoy, like double kicks and from, you know, like metal tracks. Yeah, it's a really good bass. So for the bass, I'll give it a 3 for the bass, right? And for the mids, as I mentioned, clean mid-range as expected from Truthear. It's correct sounding, it's on a budget, really great. And nothing more to say. I mean, this curve, I mean, Truthear has been very consistent with that curve from the bass to maybe around 1K, as you can see, also with probably also the Nova. See that? And probably the only difference would be like the sub bass. Look at that. It's very close to Nova, and maybe the only thing that it lacks is some refinement in the treble, because I don't think a DD would able to be to get that kind of refinement. But also with Hexa, see that? Hexa, that glide there from the bass to the mids is just very consistent. And I think, yeah, I mean, they really do care about how their IMs are tuned. That's what I thought. So the mids on this are a 3 for me. Treble. So treble is safe. I'm pretty sure it's not enough for some, but only because, you know, the limitation of the DD. But as I mentioned, it didn't feel lacking for me. They're just enough because it doesn't have enough bass. So it makes, you know, some of the sparkle to come out. If it has more bass like the Warner, then it probably would sound a little bit dark, or not really dark, but you know, like just, you know, it's a game of proportion, you know. So I just feel like the balance is just enough, and they worked on that with this DD. Okay, so again, with tuning something, it's always about the transducers, and you work your way out from that. You don't force the transducer to do something, because it's just hard. So you start with the transducer first and work your way out and how to make it best sounding, as good as possible. So for the treble, it was nice. I'm thinking of giving it maybe 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 for the treble. I mean, they're safe. I didn't feel any peaks. It's not that it's fun sounding, but I don't know, it probably helped with the overall stage, I guess. A lot of IMs in this price range, it's just, you know, sometimes the treble can be too much or unrefined, and yeah, I think, yeah, 2.5. And for the techs are actually, for this price, okay, for this price, I'm giving it 2.5 again. Probably better than most, because I feel like there is enough stage depth, enough separation. It's enjoyable, you know, like it's not really realistic, not because of course it's $20, but it's good enough to find some nuance, you know. It's good enough to catch chords, stuff like that. It's just 2.5. So this is probably my replacement for maybe the Warner. The Warner is an S ranker, and probably these are, you know, this will be one of my recommendations around this price range. This is just a very nicely tuned set, I should say. Again, I've never heard the Hola, but yeah, for comparisons, I think I did compare it. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned some of, you know, the IMs already, and most of the IMs that I mentioned are actually above its price range. But in this price range, I can't really think of much. Maybe like, for example, the Tangem 1. The Tangem 1 has a little bit of boost in the treble. Yeah, see that? Like there's a little bit of elevation, but it's very close as well. So Tantrum 1, it's also around that price range, I guess, or maybe a little bit more expensive. That's the DSP tuning though. But if you choose the 3.5 mm, it just has more bass. Okay, what else? Like some of the KZ stuff, like the Duo, I think it's also close to the Duo CCA. Let's just double check. Look at that, like the bass shelf, I really like the Duo because of that, you know, glide. Although it has a little bit of, you know, a lot of presence there around the 6K, but Duo, I like that set. It's just, you know, very natural sounding for me. So, you know, for me, there is a trend wherein if it hits this curve here, I just like it, you know. There's very few IMs that hitting the bass until 1K that I don't like. So for me personally, this is the proof that graphs for me, because I made my curve, right? So you can too, if you know how to do it. You can do your own research. There's a lot of videos about that. But for me, this curve here really hits the spot for me, and like 90% of the time when I see the graph and it hits my curve from the bass to the mids, I'm gonna like that set. I'm gonna like the presentation of the mids and the bass. And it's not different with the gate. So yeah, I think this is a very nice set from Truthear. It's a win, it's an S ranker. What else? Can't think of any to compare. It's just the new thing that I would recommend around this price range. So see you again. Bye.